A top of the morning to ya lads and lassies. Today is the second episode of The Fake Irishman. The Fake Irishman. I'm really proud of that name, actually. But today, specifically, we are going to be talking about the lyrical and content value, its downfall. I don't know exactly how other to say that than that the idea of lyrics is that they're more than just words, but that they're also a story. And the greatest artists are storytellers. Some of them are very obvious with their stories, and some of them are not. And my personal favorite artist that is the best, in my opinion, is Eminem. I know that's kind of like, oh, he's a white rapper who also likes the world's best white rapper, but whatever. I think he's the best for several reasons, and one of them is because he's a storyteller. He doesn't just let me spit some bars together and it'll be cool or whatever. What he does really, really well is he explains his life. A good example of this would be cleaning out my closet. He has since then said that, I'm not going to play that song anymore because me and my mom, we worked through that. But cleaning out my closet just starts with the, have you ever been hated or discriminated against? I have. I've been protested and demonstrated against. Picket signs for my wicked rhymes. Look at the time. Sick of the mind of the mother kid that's behind. And he just goes off and he starts talking about his life and his stories. Another good example he has is, Legacy from his 2013 album, Marshall Mathers LP2. That was just phenomenal. And he actually has a song called Phenomenal as well that I think came out a couple years after that. That's beside the point, though. He's always been really good, not just with his cadence ability, but with his lyrical mastermind and structure. And it kind of blew my mind when I first heard him. I was like, wow, this is really good. And a lot of artists don't do that anymore. They're like, oh, I'm just gonna mess around and have fun. A good example is, I think it's Lil Pump, and again, no hate, no disrespect. If you want to do that, that's fine. Do it yourself. But Lil Pump's Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang. He just goes on and on and on and on, and just repeats himself so consistently throughout the song, and that's become more of a theme in music, where they're just kind of vibing. They're like, hey, whoa, whoa, hey, whoa, whoa, ah. And where is the art in that? Anyone can do that. Anyone can do it. If anyone can do it, it's not art. Straight up. Not everyone can paint the Mona Lisa. Not everyone can, play the piano like Sir Elton John. Not everyone can, hit a baseball just like Jackie Robinson. Not everyone can do that, and that's what makes it art. It sets it apart from the rest, and it's something really, truly beautiful and amazing to witness and perceive. And the inevitable downfall of the music creation, I don't want to necessarily say the music industry. I feel like that's another topic for another day. But the inevitable downfall of it started right around 2011, 2012, maybe a little bit before that, but that's what I perceived. And I'm just like, man, when did we go from these amazing artists that said lyrics that really made you think, oh, I have to think about that, or let me ponder that for a bit, or wow, that was really good, or when did we go from that to what we have today? Like Ariana Grande, she's probably one of the most popular artists out there. She's a really good singer. I'll give her that any day of the week. The problem is, it's that I want it, I got it. I saw it, I bought it, or whatever the lyrics are. I'm like, you bought something. Cool. You're filthy rich. You'll make more money than I ever will, if we're being honest. Just statistically speaking, like, she's insanely rich and talented, but her music, if you've noticed, has been kind of falling off. a little bit, or well, I won't even say falling off. I'll say been following the trend of the content value, just been slowly desiccating itself over the last 15 years. Again, give or take. And it's kind of breaking my heart to see that. I'm like, yo, what happened? Where did we fall off? I can't pinpoint it exactly. It's like, oh, this song that came out, November 16th, 2010, that was the one that just destroyed everything. That's not necessarily true. I just have personally noticed from my experience is that, around this time, the songs started to get not as good. Not all of them, however. Like, we have amazing artists like Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran started really making some noise for himself with his Plus album that came out. I think it was 2011. Correct me if I'm wrong. But he was just doing these amazing songs, and he did like another version of them. It's like a live recording, I think. He does this one for "Give Me Love," and I'll post about it on my Instagram. It's just so good. I was like, wow, and he was only like 18 doing this. Like, that's so young, the way he was doing that. I'm just blown away at how hard he works at it, because I think a lot of people forgot that music is just more than talent. There's three types of people in any field, generally, I would say. There's the person that's naturally gifted, there's the person that works really hard, and then there's the person that is both. And it's very rare that you find both, because a lot of people, they'll just rely on their brilliance or rely on their artistic gifts, and they won't really put in the work, which is kind of sad for me personally, because I love music. Obviously, you talk to anyone, they're like, yeah, that's Ben. He loves music, not just audio, but most types of music too. An artist that I think is incredibly prolific. I don't know if he writes all of his songs, but is Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson he has 100 studio albums. That's not counting live. That's not counting remakes. That's all of it. 100 studio albums. So let's do some math. He probably started, around age 20, maybe a little bit before that. That's probably when he started recording music. And he's 90 right now. That's 70 years. That's more than an album per year. Just let that sink in. That's more than an album per year. You'll be really, really hard-pressed to find artists that can keep that pace, that can keep that momentum today. Even younger artists like NF. I'm a huge NF fan. I've actually met him. He did 3 albums in 3 years, and it was Mansion, Therapy Session, and Perception. And after that, he waited a year and a half, maybe 2 years. Perception came out in 2017, and what was the last one? It's not his last one. What was the one that came out in 2019? The Search. The Search came out in 2019. 2 years later, maybe a little less, maybe a little bit more, but roughly 2 years. And he has so many songs. He's so talented, and he keeps going. But again, he wasn't doing, an album and a half a year. It's just incredible to see that kind of drive in an individual such as Willie Nelson. And I'm not even the biggest country music fan, but I like Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson. That's about it. Some of Taylor Swift's old stuff, which we'll talk about here later. But the key with all this, and again, my computer's over here, but the camera's right in front of me, so if I'm looking over here, it's because I'm making sure it's not, shutting down on me or anything like that. But I'm not asking everyone to be like Willie Nelson, because one, you can't, because Willie Nelson is the only Willie Nelson. Like, you just can't do it. Like, that's what I had to learn, is that I can't be the next Eminem, because Eminem is the next Eminem. You know what I'm saying? No matter how much I might talk like him, I might act like him, I might try to rap like him. I'm going to move this microphone just a bit. As much as I might try to do those things, I can't be him, because I'm not him. Just like a square can't be a triangle, because it's not a triangle. It's a whole nother dimension and playing field it's on. It might be the same color as the triangle. It might be the same area as a triangle. It might be the same height as a triangle. It might, be in the same room as a triangle, but it's not. It's a square. And that's what I've had to learn personally, and I'm still working on in my music and in my everyday life. So I'm not asking everyone like, oh, you have to be as prolific as Willie Nelson. You have to work as hard as him, otherwise you're not a musician. That is not the case. That is not the case. What I am trying to say, and I hope a lot of people will agree with me, is if we continue as a society, a consumer society for music, if we continue to accept mediocrity in this form of media, what else are we going to accept mediocrity in? And that is a question that always is kind of in the back of my mind. We've become very complacent as a society. We've done we've gone from my second job, actually. This is a good example. I work at a retirement home, and every once in a while I'll have to have them sign the check for the ticket. And when they sign the check for the ticket, it's I work as a waiter. When they sign that check, the vast majority of them have beautiful handwriting, and the calligraphy is amazing, and it just blows my mind to see how effortlessly they do it. They're just like done, and I'm like, wow, what is this? John Hancock or something like that? That's amazing. But I don't have that for a couple of reasons. One, I didn't really invest in good handwriting, and two is because I have dysgraphia. Now, what dysgraphia is it's like dyslexia in the sense of reading is really difficult for me, just the way my brain is wired. A lot of times the letters switch. Sometimes you'll see, like, if this is an L, I'll see like the L trying to make sure it's right, doubling up on itself. If I read for too long, I physically get exhausted. I feel like someone's been hitting my brain with a sledgehammer if I read for too long. So it's like dyslexia, and Rick Riordan does an amazing job of describing it in his Percy Jackson series. But it's like that, but with handwriting. Handwriting is really hard for me. It's very, very difficult for me to get it into the exact position and shape. If you look at my signature from when I was in, 10th grade and now, it's exactly the same. Even younger, if you look at my I wish I had it with me, but I have my old library card when I was about 8 years old. If you look at that now and you look at the way my printing is now, it's very similar, maybe a little bit better, but not much. And the thing is, that's not a direct reflection of my intelligence. That's not a direct reflection of anyone's intelligence. I've taken the IQ test many times, and I always get the same answer. And I'm like, oh, wow, it's a little bit higher than I thought, because everyone's like, oh, you're dyslexic, and you can't write, so you must be dumb. That's just not true. But I digress. We went from a society where they really value handwriting and that art, which it is, to a society now where I personally know of a few people that are my age and younger that can't read or write cursive. They just can't. And the problem with that is it kind of goes into the, okay, well, how do we examine these old documents we have, like the Declaration of Independence or the Magna Carta or the Constitution or even the Articles of Confederation, which have failed and that weren't really that great to begin with. But if we don't examine those, how do we learn from history? What do we glean from that? In the same way, if we're just accepting, okay music, that in the last episode how I talked about how they don't produce it very well, and when I say produce, I say they don't mix and master it very well. How do we go from that, like Bohemian Rhapsody? How do we go from that to WAP by Cardi B? Like, what's up with that, man? It's just like, I'm not asking everyone to be Freddie Mercury, but what I am asking everyone is, can you try? Can you push yourself a little bit? Maybe work a little bit harder. Oh, this wasn't working for X, Y, and Z. How can I flip the script and make it work in my scenario? I know a lot of individuals who are very talented that work very hard. One of the youth pastors at my church I volunteer at, I won't say any names because I don't want everyone to be all over social media and like, oh, you You said my name on social media. I didn't want you to do that. But my youth pastor, her daughter, she's a phenomenal singer. And if you're watching this, you're awesome. But her daughter's an amazing singer, and she sings in the youth, which is where I volunteer every single week. She sings in the youth band every Wednesday night, and she works really hard at it. And what's been really cool for me, I've been helping them out for about 2.5, maybe 3 years. What's really cool for me is to see her progression. She always had the heart and the attitude, which is amazing. That's the first step. And just to see her get better and better and better over time, it's amazing. She was always good, but now she's just like phenomenal. It's blowing my mind. That someone this young, she's only in her early teens, I'll say, that someone this young is putting in that hard work, is putting in that effort. Like, oh, okay, how can I be better? How can I do this? Let me sing praises to the Lord. That was really good. Now let's work on something else. And of course, there are people that are encouraging her and pushing her and challenging her and walking with her throughout this journey. But the point is, she's trying. She's trying, and my perception, I love that word, I say that a lot, my perception from the music industry today is that no one's really trying. No one's really trying that hard. And it's kind of a joke to see artists that are like Lil Nas X. I'll rip on him all day. I can't stand his music. But to see him just totally fail at cadence ability. His cadence is way off, and it's so basic, and everyone's doing it. I made a TikTok post about this a while ago. His cadence is ridiculously off, and I'm like, what? Like, he's a good dancer. Like, I've seen him dance. Okay, dude's got some moves, but why are you not putting in the effort to better yourself? And every single song I've heard of his, I'm just like, are you serious? It seems like you're about to fall asleep at the microphone, Like, you gotta put in that energy, you gotta put in that work. And one thing that makes Machine Gun Kelly really good, I talked about him in the last episode as well, one thing that makes Machine Gun Kelly really good is that he puts in a lot of work. He works so hard. Whether you like him or not, you can't deny that his hard work is directly reflected in his music, which is amazing to me. Another artist that works really hard is Taylor Swift. A lot of people, like, there's polarizing opinions about her right now, but Taylor Swift also works really hard, and so does Logic. I watched this documentary, a short documentary, probably an hour and a half, 2 hours, on Logic, and it was just phenomenal and blew my mind away, because this is not an exact quote, but the idea he's saying is, why is this sounding the way it is? Oh, that's me. I messed up. I forgot to switch this thing. And he's like, okay, well, I can remember this is when the lighting cue comes, and this is where the stage is, and this is the frequency the microphone has to be at, and this is the lyric I have to come in on, and this is where the kick drum should be, and this is where the bass, and this is where the synthesizer comes in, and this is when the piano comes in. So if I can remember all those things, and you only have to remember a part of it, we'll be set. He's like, you can remember this. And he works so exceptionally hard at it, and it was amazing. I was just blown away at his hard work. I knew he was talented, and this cadence, it's just amazing. Like in his song Upgrade, I've upgraded, bothered, waited, will they love it, will they hate it, never faded, I evaded it, cause I never really want to complicate it, think I made it, yes I did. And I'm just like, wow, this guy has his own groove that no one really else sounds like. Whether you like him or not, again, is aside the point. I think he's phenomenal, but he's very unique in his flow and his cadence ability and his lyrics, and he uses every single syllable he can in his lyrics to his advantage. A rapper that is similar to him, I would compare him to, would be Andre 3000. It's just, I don't know. I think my screen stopped for a second. All right, looks like we're good. But Andre 3000 is another phenomenal artist that is just goes off. His cadence ability is like, I'm sorry, Miss Jack, saying, "Who I am for real." After that chorus, he's like, forever, forever, ever, forever, ever, forever never seems so long until you're gone. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson, but I was wrong. And he's just like, wow, you're using the cadences not just to 1, 2, 3, but to like kind of loop it all together, which is amazing. E40 does another good job of that, but in his own way. All these artists are using their cadence abilities for their strength, They're using it for their strength. Another master of this is Tech Nine. Every single Tech Nine song, his cadence might be the similar style, but it's always very different, you know? Like his song Trust with NF. NF comes out, he's like, and it's wicked cool, you know? Oh no, here we go again. Who again? Let me loose it. You know, it's off. It's crazy. When Tech Nine comes in, he's also doing that same kind of like Midwest chopper. That but again, he's kind of making it. He still makes it flow. It's not as circular as Logic would be, which I've actually done a song together, which is really cool to see that compare and contrast aspect of it. But in this song, he's like, Technina, next king up. Everybody knowing I'm a death bringer. That lingua vaccine, yeah, leaving a regular rapper resting, bruh. He goes from ba 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 to ba da ba ba da ba da ba 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 ba. So it kind of sounds to me like he's just pulling a thread on, and I have some right here. It kind of sounds to me like Tech Nine, and I don't know if you guys will be able to see this or not. So let's get as close as I can to the camera. But it seems like he's just pulling this thread, and then pulls it really fast, and pulls it slow again, and then pulls it really fast. So it's just amazing the way he does that. I'm like, oh, okay, I can see it. You're slow, and then you're fast again, but it's still within the time, and it's just wonderful. And he's using his syllables as well as just instead of his words. In fact, a lot of rappers, when they try to rap, you know, oh, this rapper does. Excuse me. Ooh, I'm a burpee boy, man. Come on. But a lot of these rappers. Well, there goes another one. If my girlfriend is watching this, she's going to think it's hilarious. She's like, oh, you're always burping. And I was like, yeah, a little bit. But all these rappers, they, or at least they used to, they try to have an original flow. Snoop Dogg talks about this about 10 years ago. He's like, you know, in the 80s and 90s, nobody rapped the same. Some might have sounded similar and had, you know, styles that resembled one another, but no two rappers were exactly the same. And he's like, nowadays 100 rappers rap the same. It's all and you can even hear it in like Christian music too. I was like, Hovey, like, why are you doing this? Like, you sound just like every other rapper out there. Like, come on, dude. I really like Hovey. I think he's great. His song Reasons is amazing. But it's like the song Walk, 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 or I Just Can't Tell at All. You can do a little bit better with the cadences, and this is an encouragement to Hovey and Lecrae if you guys are watching this. Also, Lecrae, I'm a huge fan of yours. Got 116 tattooed on me. It's been there for a year and a day. I've been listening to you since I was a kid. But that's aside the point. The whole idea of cadences is that it's always changing. It's always different. And there's something that you can do with it to make it unique and make it your own. But Snoop Dogg said all these rappers are sounding exactly the same. Even when I started in hip-hop 11 years ago, if me and my friend were rapping, if we were rapping and I was like, oh, that's a really good flow, I'm going to take it and make it mine. Or, oh, those are some really good lyrics, I'm going to take it and put it in my song. They'd be like, hold up, you can't do that, that's mine. You know, Snoop Dogg referred to it as biting. Like, you're biting their flow, you're biting their lyrics. And it's kind of sad but true that a lot of these rappers out here are just completely denying creativity and rejecting the immeasurable possibilities they have with their mind. The human mind is one of the most powerful things in the world. And they're just like, nah, this makes money. This is popular. Let's do it this way. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, at some point, you got to be tired. Like, yes, I understand this is a job that you get paid for, but also, like, you got to be exhausted from sounding just like everybody else. You know, like, what's the point of that? Like, what makes you different? What makes you tick? What makes people say, okay, this dude is fire. He's hot. He's on it. Like, what is it? I just want to encourage any musician that I've listed here, whether it's, you know, Lil Nas X, Taylor Swift, not Willie Nelson because he's already amazing. No, I'll encourage Willie Nelson too. Lecrae or Hovey or, you know, whoever, that if you're watching this, which I doubt you are because I'm so not well known, but just push yourself a little bit further in that aspect. Because if you do that, you'll begin to see these amazing things that are set before you. if you just encourage your creative mind and pull from that what you will, then maybe something great will come from that. Me and my best friend Tommy, oh, this dude's amazing. I miss him so much. We're literally 1,000 miles apart. I'm in California, he's in Colorado. But my best friend Tommy, him and I are like Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg in the sense, we're definitely not as famous as they are. We're definitely not the same subgenre of hip-hop and rap that they are. And we're definitely not the color they are. Like, whoa, no kidding, kind of obvious. But we're like them in the sense that they never say no to each other. There's this video of Dr. Dre inducting Snoop Dogg into the, not the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but he's getting his Hollywood star, and he's like, we don't say no to each other. Like, we're always trying something, and if it fails, it fails, but now we know. That's kind of like me and Tommy. I remember one time when I was recording my song last time, a couple things we did with that specifically was, one, I was recording it, and I was like rapping to it. I'm like, it's just a little bit too fast. And I said, can you slow it down by 2 BPM? He could have been, and he made the track for that. He had 100% music creativity with that. He could have said, no, I made it this way. It has to be specifically like that. This is what I had in mind. And I asked him to slow it down. He said, sure. So he slowed it down by 2 BPM. And then it made it so much easier for me to get all those words in. Because I think in the first verse they say like 500 words or something crazy like that. 400, 600, I don't know. But it's definitely in the mid-hundreds. So I say a lot of words. But another time when we were recording that song, I'm like, sometimes I just want to hang from a belt. Wait, Christians aren't supposed to say that? No, but they think it in that line. He's like, when you say wait, what if we just drop the music completely? Like, just mute it and then bring it back. And I'm like, okay, let's try it. That's a really good idea. Turned out it was the most awkward thing we did. It's like, wait for what? Like, it felt so awkward. It wasn't even like a natural pause. It wasn't like, oh, at this point in time, it's going to feel really good if we cut the music out. A lot of artists that do it really well. Again, like I said in the last episode, Michael Jackson was the master of that. But we tried it, and it did not work out well for us. But that's the thing, is we still tried it. We still pushed forward to that. And there's a lot of things that we learned from that album, me specifically. Was one, I wasn't making my songs loud enough. They were way too quiet. Two, I was mixing my vocals too bass heavy. And three, I wasn't utilizing enough compression, which is ironic because I talked about that. Like, oh, they're compressing it too much. I think I was under compressing it, which is another monster in and of itself. But I was like, you know what? I think I'm doing this just a little bit too low. Let's change the compression a little bit on the output. So that's something I also learned. I learned a lot from my failures. I didn't really learn anything through the success of that album, if we're being totally honest. And I have about 5 monthly listeners on Spotify, give or take, and I really enjoy what I do. But I think the most I had was like 60, and that was the first month it dropped. So of course I was telling everyone, you gotta listen to this, you gotta listen to this, you gotta listen to it, but it slowly faded over time. But the point is, what did I learn through the success? Yeah, there's a lot of hard work, there's a lot of resilience in that, which I already had and I already knew about, but what did I learn through my failures? You learn so much more through your failures than you do your successes. Like, oh my gosh, that actually worked. That's really cool. But Thomas Edison, he tried and failed roughly 1,000 times to create his version of the light bulb. And I say his version because he didn't actually invent the light bulb. Just saying. What up, TE? Let's go. But if you're always trying and pushing towards not even excellence, because we all can't be outstanding in our field. We all can't be... it's doing it again. Sorry. I need to get a new setup one of these days, guys, I swear. But we all can't be the absolute best. Just statistically possible. Like, if there's 10 musicians in a room that are rock artists and guitarists, so 10 guitarists, 10 rock artists, there's going to be someone who's the best out of all of them. Just, that's how it is, You might be third or fourth, fifth in line, but there's always going to be that person that's just so much better than you are. I've been playing guitar for 11 years, and I know for a fact that I am not the best guitarist out of all my friends who play guitar, all the people I know who play guitar. I'm like, there's no way. And obviously, I push myself to be better. I'm learning, but I know for a fact that inherently someone's going to be better than me. So we all can't be the best, but we can all strive to achieve our full creative potential. Not even excellence, like, oh, I'm going to be the best there ever was. I don't want you to be the best just so you can say you're the best. I want you to do your best so you can achieve your creative potential. And that's what's not happening in music today. And it's bothering me, like Doja Cat. Like, I can't stand her style. I'm like, this isn't even really very talented. Olivia Rodrigo is one of the artists out there who's actually making a lot of noise for herself, but she's also pretty talented, and it looks like, I don't know her super well. I'll have to ask my friend Will about this. He knows much more about it than I do. But she seems like she's really putting in the work and the effort and being creative with it. And the thing about being creative is there's no right way to be creative. Everyone's different. Everyone's unique. Everyone has their own special skill set. Everyone will lean towards something more. But there are just these amazing artists out there that really inspire me and push me to be creative in my own way. The Goo Goo Dolls. I freaking love that band. One of my favorite bands of all times. One of their songs, Name, is one of my favorite songs by them. They say, and even though the moment passed me by, I still can't turn away. And that's the first lyric. And I think Johnny Resnick, or John, whatever he prefers to be called, John Resnick, wrote that. And I was just like, wow. That really makes you think. Even though the moment has gone, even though I graduated high school, I graduated college, I moved out, I'm still really missing what was beautiful, what was amazing, what was great about it. And I was like, wow, that's really good. Or even in a relationship. Let's say, for example, you break up with someone, and you're like, man, I know that was the right decision to do, but I still kind of miss what we had, Or you're in a friendship, and you're like, this guy isn't being a really good friend. I'm going to dip out of this friendship. And that's happened to me several times, and I'm just like, you know what? This happened a long time ago, which is kind of ironic because I'm only 26, but this happened a long time ago. But I still miss it. I still miss the certain things we had, and more specifically, I miss the potential of what could have been a phenomenal friendship. And there's just so many things like that artists would say and think. What's another good riddance, Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. That's clearly metaphorical, but it also can be physical, Like, what's happening here? I hope you have the time of your life. Like, that's just an amazing song. Like, it's like, wow, like, you want this to happen. Or even tattoos and memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. Like, nothing really lasts forever. Of this world, at least. I'm a Christian. Got my cross right here. I'm a Christian, so we live eternally. Whether you want to live eternally or not, you're going to. Like, that's just the way it's going to happen. You're either going to live forever in heaven or you're going to live forever in hell. I'll straight up tell you like it is. Those are your two options. But nothing on this earth lasts forever. And one of this quote I came up with is that old musicians never really die, their songs just fade away. It's true, like, eventually their legacy is forgotten, is what I'm trying to say with that. But we went from all these great artists, like Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain's another great artist, that was so talented and excellent in his field. But, sadly, he took his own life. But he was so amazing at what he did, and he put so much passion, effort, and hard energy into it, and it was so good. Nowadays, we're not seeing that, like the Kid Laroi. He might be really popular, and like a couple of his songs, But I'm like, what are you kind of doing? Like, I don't really see the hard work that's paying off. I can hear the engineer, whether that's the Kid Leroy or an engineer he pays or works with. I can hear the audio effects being put on your voice. You know, like I can hear that. I can see that. Well, I can't physically see it, of course, but I know what's going on. And why are you not working to be a little bit harder? Ed Sheeran, in an interview, he said he's playing a clip of one of his songs, and it doesn't sound really good. Like, he's young, and he's like, really off key, singing like this. And I'm just like, oh man, how did he go from that to singing Castle on a Hill? I love Castle on a Hill. It's an amazing song. But he worked hard at it, and a lot of artists don't do that. And sorry, it makes me so passionate and also a little bit angry at the same time. But that's why music is so average today. You know, we have a bunch of phenomenal music. We have a bunch of uncommon musicians doing common things. Like, what's up with that, man? Like, come on, you know. If you're outstanding in your field, then continue to be so. Don't follow the path just because it's popular, it makes more money, I'll get more streams for this. I understand that there are certain, contracts you have to sign where you got to do things a certain way. But even independent artists, I'm like, dude, come on, man. Like, Whit Lowry, I love Whit Lowry, one of my favorite rappers. But I'm like, come on, like, just buck up a little bit and stop doing stuff like this. Which he doesn't do it very often, thankfully. But I'm just like, dude, if you just didn't go with the crowd, or even if you're just crowd adjacent, there'll be enough difference in you for people to say, you know what, that was pretty good. You know what, that made me think a little bit. Like his song, Debt, was really good. You know, he says, I know money doesn't buy happiness, but I wouldn't mind the extra time and peace of mind that it brings. Where I could afford heat in the winter or AC in the summer. I'm not being bitter, but they live like kings. And I'm like, wow, you know, you're telling us a little bit about your story. Like, you can't afford, AC or heat. I mean, you really want this. That seems like an average American thing to have. And it's just so, I was really prolific. You know, that was just amazing. And we don't have that in music today. And it breaks my heart. It just breaks my heart. Like, when did we go from that? When did we settle for complacency? When did we say, you know what? Generally, as a society, not everyone does this, of course. I don't do it. But most people are like, whatever. It's fine. I'm okay with that. When we can be doing so much more, and your mind is just amazingly built and so complex. So are your emotions. So are your relationships. So why can't your music be that way too? Why can't it be a reflection of that? That's all I'm trying to ask, is that if you're a young artist or even a new artist out there that is struggling by sounding like everyone else, or you're trying to sound like everyone else, let me rephrase, I would encourage you to say, who am I? John Doe. John Doe's an artist out there struggling. And he's like, man, I want to be just like, I don't know, Conan Gray. I want to be just like Conan Gray and sound just like him. Okay, how about you do stuff similar to him? But who's John Doe? What does John Doe feel? What would John Doe say? What is John Doe thinking right now? What are the events that led up to John Doe's execution of this song? How did it happen? What lyrics are portraying John Doe's ideas? Not what lyrics are portraying Conan Gray, but what lyrics are portraying his ideas. And we go from that to something really amazing. And it's even happening in Christian music. I referenced that earlier. But one of my favorite worship songs is by Michael W. Smith, Breathe. You know, this is the air I breathe. It's just an amazing song. The lyrics aren't overly complex, per se. But, there we go. The lyrics aren't overly complex, but they just mean a whole lot, you know? Or, Above All, another amazing song. Just the way he said it, crucified, lay behind the stone. And I'm not the best singer, so forgive me. That's just wonderful. That's wonderful, the way he says that. The crucified. Those syllables go so well with that cadence. We went from that to songs like Good Good Father, where it's just so repetitive. Is it true that God's a good father? Abso-stinkin-lutely. Every single time God is a good father. Every single time. Not every other. Every single time. But what else about God? How is he a good father? Why is he a good father? Why do we call him father? What has he done in your life personally that has made him a good father? There's just so much that we're missing. We're just so content, and we're breaking away from that now in the Christian media. I feel we're just so content with mediocrity, and that's heartbreaking to me. And I don't really want to see that happen to anyone, but especially the Christian music industry. And like I said, we're coming out of that. Like the Hallelujah, Maranatha, that's a really good one. I love that song. Or Gyra. Gyra is a phenomenal song. I love that. That's amazing. It holds a lot of deep personal connection to me as well. Usually I don't like 8-minute songs, but that one had to be the extra long length that it was. So we're coming out of that a little bit, which makes me really happy. In fact, when I was in high school and in my early 20s, I went through a phase where I'm like, I don't like Christian music. Not because the message is always true. Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior. He loves you. That's true. But what about the bad times? What about when it's hard? Oh, well, we don't want to hear that because it's not comfortable. Check it out. Psalm 55. King David, he basically says, in fact he does, he says, I wish my enemies would go down alive to Sheol, which is, I believe, hell or the underworld. He's like, I want my enemies to burn in hell alive. I'm just like, man, that doesn't sound like a Christian thing to say, but it's there in the Bible. It's because he's like, this is what I'm going through. If it was an enemy that was attacking me, I could bear it, but it was you, a friend of mine, who ate at my table, and hopefully I'm quoting that directly, and if I'm not, I apologize. But he's like, it was you that did this to me, so I can't bear it. It was someone close to me, so I can't stand it. And at the end of the psalm, he's like, I'll still lean on God. I'll still follow you. And I think that's what we need to hear more of, is that that transparency, that honest talk is just so important. And we're kind of missing that. It's like, no, God is good, God is love. Yes, that's absolutely true every single time. But sometimes our feelings might not be accurate. That, God doesn't love me. That's not an accurate feeling. But it shows the reflection of our reality that we're living in. As Americans, as Christians in America, we are very blessed to have the First Amendment that allows us the freedom of religion. A lot of our brothers and sisters overseas are dying because of their faith. And it's just, it's sad, it's atrocious, and it breaks my heart to see that. But, we have to come to a place of, going back to my original point of mediocrity and the downfall of music, we have to come to a place where we're like, all right, I'm tired of this. I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to be like me. I want to be original. I want to be unique. Can I make a song that's, like that and similar to artists I like and what other artists are doing, while still putting my own inherent twist and spin on it? I hope to gosh darn it you would, because I'm not going to swear. I hope to gosh darn it you would, and that would make all the difference. It would make all the difference in the world. And I am off my soapbox, except I'm on a squeaky chair. So, just to sum this all up, try hard, be creative, and you got to come to a point where I'm tired of doing what everyone else is doing, even though it's good. even though it's popular, even though it's making money, I'm tired of it, and I want to be true to myself, and I want to be true to my music and have my art reflect that. So hopefully you guys will be able to do that. And again, your art might look totally different than music. You might be a painter. You might be really good at marketing. You might be really good at cooking. You might be a pilot. There's art in that. So whatever you're doing, whatever art, whatever brings you joy, how can I be creative with it? How can I do it a little bit differently? Maybe you're an actor. I don't know. But do it the way you would do it, while still being influenced by the people you look up to. But do it the way you would do it. So yeah. But this is the fake Irishman signing off. And once again, I'm not actually Irish.